For a lot of teenagers, delivering pizza is a great way to make some extra cash. For others, it can be a source of income to help support them and their families. But the job also involves driving to unfamiliar areas to visit the houses of people you've never met. This can be scary at best, dangerous at worst. This is the solved disappearance of Sherry Eyerly, who found herself in this situation almost 4 decades ago. Sherry Melissa Eyerly was born on December 6, 1963, to mom Linda and dad Steve. She grew up in Salem, the capital city of Oregon, and graduated from high school in June of 1982. After graduation, the 18-year-old wanted to be on her own pretty much right away, so she rented an apartment with her cousin and got a job as a delivery driver at Domino's to support herself. Sherry didn't normally work Sunday nights, but she was called into work on the night of Sunday, July 4th. That night, a call came in from someone ordering 3 large pizzas. They gave a phone number as well as an address on Riverhaven Drive South. Around 9:30 p.m., Sherry left the restaurant to deliver the pizzas. About an hour later, a man lighting fireworks near Farragate Street South found an abandoned Domino's car. The engine was running and the lights were on. The car door was open and 3 pizza boxes were on the floor. Another source said they were on the road. The man called the police. It didn't take long for investigators to notice a major red flag. The person who ordered the pizza Sherry was supposed to be delivering had given a fake address. There was a house at that address, but it had been destroyed long ago. The phone number they'd given was the phone number of a local hotel. There was also a footprint across the pizza boxes, and a hat presumed to be Sherry's was found a few hundred feet away. Sherry's family and friends joined investigators in the search for her. Dogs and helicopters were brought in, and there was a $6,000 reward set up for information that would solve her case. Investigators also publicized information about 2 vehicles that had been seen in the area around the same time Sherry was last seen. One was a dark-colored Monte Carlo, and the other was a lime green pickup truck. But despite this publication and the extensive searches, Sherry wasn't found. In August of that year, police began looking into a man named Darrell J. Wilson. Wilson initially denied knowing Sherry, then later admitted he'd met her at a party once. His sister-in-law, Dawn Wilson, also worked with Sherry's mom. Darrell Wilson also had a connection to another missing girl in the area, Dawn Wilson's younger sister, Danielle Good. 9-year-old Danielle had last been seen at her home in the early morning hours of July 31st. On the night Sherry was last seen, Wilson had been camping at Elkhorn Lake, about 45 miles east of Salem. However, he was gone from the campground between 6:30 p.m. and 3:30 a.m. He also had a truck that closely matched the description of the lime green truck police had given out, and he painted it shortly after that description went public. He also refused to take a polygraph at some point. I know a lot of people don't put much stock in polygraphs, so make of that what you will. Police questioned Wilson at least 3 times, the last one being on the morning of August 21st, 1982. Later that afternoon, his body was found at his landlord's house. He'd taken his own life. After his death, the Marion County District Attorney said Wilson was the prime suspect in the case. However, a search of his truck would later uncover no evidence linking him to Sherry. In February of 1983, Danielle Good's remains were found off a rural road in Scio, about 27 miles south of Salem. After this, more search parties were sent out in the area to look for Sherry at a nearby swimming hole that Darrell Wilson used to frequent. But the search didn't find much else than a few animal bones. I found very little else about Danielle Good's murder, which appears to remain unsolved. In the early days of the investigation, there was plenty of speculation in Sherry's case. The owner of a different Domino's store thought she may have left voluntarily since her body was never found. This is a nice thought because it means she could be alive and unharmed, but most people suspected foul play. But what exactly happened? Robbery was ruled out as a motive because Domino's drivers at the time didn't carry much cash. In 1983, then Marion County Sheriff's Detective Jay Boutwell thought Sherry may have known her abductor and been killed because she knew too much about something, possibly something drug-related. There's also speculation on the Doe Network that Sherry may have been kidnapped by someone she knew. This is because she felt comfortable enough to set the parking brake and open the car door, though she could have just been attempting to deliver the pizzas as normal and not necessarily suspected anything. Sherry's parents separated in 1985, and Sherry's mom later cited their daughter's disappearance as the cause. As the years went by, Sherry's family slowly started to accept the fact that she was likely no longer alive. Today, there's a memorial for her in the place where she was thought to have last been. Sherry's case went cold for years before being reopened by the Marion County Sheriff Cold Case Squad in 2005. They conducted hundreds more interviews and followed at least 100 leads. And it was during this time that they came across the name William Scott Smith. William Scott Smith was born on April 26, 1959, in Portland, Oregon. In 1977, the 18-year-old was convicted of theft and a misdemeanor driving offense. He got in trouble with the law again in April of 1984 when he was jailed for harassment after making obscene phone calls to a woman. At the time, he was a suspect in the murder of a college student named Catherine Redmond, who had been killed on April 7th of that year. Then, on July 9th, 1984, Smith was found guilty by a judge of the murders of both Catherine Redmond and a 21-year-old convenience store clerk named Rebecca Darling. He was given 2 consecutive life sentences. Smith, whose victims had both been sexually assaulted and strangled, had previously been described by a psychiatrist as a sexually sadistic serial killer. Smith had been investigated in Sherry's case early on, but he appeared to have an alibi. He had been on the road at the time, working as a long-haul trucker. Cold case investigators thought they'd be able to rule him out completely in this new investigation, but soon realized that they couldn't. Despite being on the road at the time, they soon learned Smith had actually been stopped by police in Silverton on the night Sherry went missing, putting him just 15 miles away from Salem. When investigators visited Smith in prison in late 2006, he confessed to Sherry's murder. According to Smith, he and an accomplice named Roger Nosef wanted to kidnap a Domino's employee for a ransom. They'd had a specific one in mind, but Sherry was the one who delivered their pizzas that night. Smith ended up strangling her along the Little Pudding River and leaving her body there. The river has flooded several times since then, so if his story is true, it's likely that there's not much evidence left there, if any. The day after Sherry was last seen, Roger Nosef reportedly made a ransom call to Domino's, a detail that wasn't made public until after Smith's confession. Nothing was done about the call at the time. Smith also claimed Nosef was the one who ordered the pizzas. Nosef died in 2003 and consequently was never charged in connection with Sherry's disappearance. On December 18, 2007, William Scott Smith pled guilty to murdering Sherry. Under the conditions of his plea deal, he got a 3rd life sentence. 25 years after Sherry was last seen, her case had finally been solved. In 2012, Smith also pled guilty in the 1981 murder of Terry Monroe. 22-year-old Terry was last seen at the Museum Tavern in Salem in February of that year. Her body was found a month later in the Willamette River. Just like Smith's other victims, she had been strangled. He was given yet another life sentence for her murder. Sherry Eyerly was 18 years old when she was last seen in Salem, Oregon, on the night of July 4th, 1982. Sherry was a white female who was 5 feet 2 inches tall and 100 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a red, white, and blue Domino's shirt and blue jeans, and driving a red and white car owned by Domino's. Sherry is no longer believed to be alive, but would be 58 years old if she was.